baby, listen to me speaking. No matter what, just say the word.
Do my little intro right there. I don't think I did it. Persuadable. There we go. Anyways, so nobody has talked about this really, and I think that I'm most excited about the 5v5 adjustments. And the reason being so is that you guys know my opinion that in 5v5, I genuinely think that especially a hunter, if you were to try to quantify somebody's skill set, right? If you were to quantify how good a hunter is, so to speak, using an in-game feature, okay? Let me put that up there. Sorry about that. The best way to measure it is by 5v5. I think rank shows me how good you are with your hunter in general. But in terms of tournament gameplay, I think that your 5v5 rank matters a lot more, simply because in 5v5 you're actually going against players who communicate, right? And that's why sometimes we see a discrepancy with hunters. People are saying, okay, why don't we see Wu Chang, for instance, in tournaments as much as what we see them in legendary rank mode? And the simple reason is that, well, he's still good in both, but he's less likely to win in tournaments than what he is in rank mode, simply because in rank mode or legendary rank mode, there's no communication. So again, if you were to try to quantify somebody's skill set using an in-game feature, I don't necessarily think that it would be just your hunter rank. I think your 5v5 rank would do well. Just because, again, that's when all of the cards are even. That is when you have a team, and that is when you have voice comms, and you as a hunter, you don't, but you're going against a team that does. And it really shows you why, at least in terms of survivors, win rate in legendary rank mode doesn't matter. I don't really look at win rates for survivors in rank mode or legendary rank mode, not on this server, because it doesn't really carry over. So I do look at 5v5 as a more quantified or a more logical way of measuring it. And even so, using any sort of in-game measure does have a little bit of difficulties when it is a team game, especially when you add that element of breaking up that team in the sake of being even. So with all that being said, I really like 5v5 mode. I think it's a great game mode. And I think it's actually my favorite game mode out of all game modes in the game. These adjustments are going to really make 5v5 much more attractive to a lot of the players, alright? So essentially what we see here is new rules will be applied to character BMP in 5-player matches. The number of characters that can be banned will be determined by the player's highest tier in 5-player matches. Also, players at tier 3 or above cannot choose the same character. So I like that. I think one of the reasons why some people didn't really like 5v5 is because you could abuse it with multiple characters. You could go in and, so I think that this is the devs' approach to really trying to make 5v5 more tournament-like. I think that they've understood that there is a lot more that they could be doing with 5v5, and this is going to make it where, okay, after tier 3, we actually need to choose different characters, similar to what we see in tier 5 of regular rank mode. I think that this is making it so 5v5 is only more credible. Because the counter argument to everything that I started this video is, well, the problem with your argument, Persuadable, is that you can use multiple characters. You can't in legendary rank mode. That benefits survivors more than hunters. Well, then legendary rank mode also benefited hunters more than survivors because there were no voice comms. This is their attempt of kind of mediating both of those and having that equilibrium now. So one of the other things that I'm glad that the devs are doing is that they're adding that ban system. You guys want the chat box up for the YouTube video, don't you? All right, I'll add the chat box. You guys can say hi to YouTube if you want. The other thing is that what I like what they're doing now, okay, is that they're adding that ban system. Now, the ban system has really been successful within legendary rank mode. It's also the reason why we see a lot of survivors recommending that bans happen earlier. All right. So what I mean by that is that there are a lot of survivors who've been suggesting over the last year that you start incorporating bans in tier 4, tier 3. Okay. With this sort of adjustment, Now what they're essentially doing is they're adding more sort of bans. This is exactly tournament mode. They are doing 4 different... They are essentially making this a mock tournament mode now, which is very significant because it allows players to actually want to play 5v5, and it gives them the most likely outcome of what it would be like to play in tournament mode, and that's exactly what they're doing. I don't know where I got the pen. I always do this. I use my hands. They're trying to incorporate an esports league. They're trying to incorporate a pro circuit in China. But the problem with them doing it, I remember telling the devs, the biggest problem with you trying to become an esports game is that you don't have any esports features in the game itself. You're trying to make it a pro market, a competitive market, but other than the tournaments you're running, there's really no way to practice in the game. 5v5 is filled with characters that can duplicate themselves. 5v5 doesn't have a ban feature. So then what they did is they incorporated different modes where you could do that outside of any organized game mode from NetEase, right? So they added the mode where you can ban 3 hunters and survivors and practice. So their first step was making it so organizations, or rather organized clans, could compete. Now what they're doing is they're making it so everybody can. And that is what the 5v5 mode is really going to replicate. They are literally adjusting it to replicate tournaments so they can make it so more tournaments happen, that their pro-competitive market in esports leagues that they're incorporating in China right now, they're incorporating I think a 7-month pro circuit, right? So they're completely rechanging how people will qualify for regional tournaments and for KOA 4. To get into KOA 4, there's a whole different method now in China. We may not see that here in the US. It may just be another tournament. Hopefully a regional tournament, right? We'll see. So this mode now not only are they making it so you can't have the same characters, but now they're adding bans. And that is very good because they're starting to take it more seriously. They're starting to take the competitive market more seriously. And if you're going to try to have an esports league and a pro circuit rather, you need to allow that in the game so players can get introduced to what that lifestyle is like. And that's what this mode is. This mode is going to be the perfect way for players to actually practice who want to practice in a tournament mode. So they're readjusting this to replicate that. And I'm very excited for that. I think that's a very good thing. I think it's a good thing. I think that it will attract more people to 5v5 mode. Because at the end of the day, we all hear this all the time. A lot of people don't like legendary rank mode. It's too toxic. You got randoms. You have no communication, right? But this mode may actually bring a lot of old school players back who don't really care about legendary. I actually don't care about legendary rank mode too much. I really don't. So this is sort of an incentive for me to say, okay, I'm really not going to play too much during the week. I got YouTube videos to do. I got stuff to do. But when it comes time, I really want to compete in this. Because I want to see what it's like to actually play in that tournament mode without having to actually enter a tournament. I think that this is one of the best adjustments that they're doing that nobody's talking about. Anyway, so as you guys can see, hunters, they can ban 1 survivor, and survivors cannot ban any hunters in tier 3 to 5. So pretty much tier 3 is just 1 survivor ban. And then in tier 4, there's 2 survivor bans, 1 hunter ban. And then tier 5 and above, you have 3 survivor bans and 2 hunter bans. Now, what's also interesting about this is that the number of characters that can be banned will be determined by the player's highest tier in 5-player matches. So does that include both teams? I would imagine. So does one player out of the entire 10 players dictate the banning system of both teams? Does it only dictate the banning system of one team? Right? So if you have a bunch of tier 3s and 1 tier 4 on team A, and then you have a whole bunch of tier 3s on team B, they're not going to have 2 separate ban systems, right? Because tier 4 is in team A. So I presume that the highest player of the overall match will dictate the ban system for both teams. I haven't tested this out in China. I don't know. But I think it's going to be an added feature. I think it's going to be very attractive to a lot of players And I know that this sort of adjustment is going to make me want to come back and play more. All right. I think that this adjustment is going to make the game more lively during the weekend. And I'm excited for that. I want you guys to tell me what your thoughts are. Are you excited for these adjustments? Do they matter to you? Do they not matter to you?